Okay, I have never played Scanner Sombre before. I haven't heard of it. I just got out of Carlsbad Caverns. My wife and I went there over this past holiday weekend. So I've got caves in my brain. I guess I know that it involves caves. That's what Raker told me when they put it on their subblock. Looks like I can't use a controller, so mouse it is. Pull out my gaming PC keyboard. Since the game's pretty quiet, I'm gonna turn it up a little bit. Just hopefully that doesn't backfire on me. This is from the same devs that made Uplink and Prison Architect, and it seems like they don't just stick to one concept. Okay, that's quite a bit louder. Back down. Huh. So you get an actual VR headset. Is this game... Actually, I'm curious whether this game is available in VR or not. Scanner... Ooh. So this is how I explore the cave system. It's pretty cool. And we went to Carlsbad Caverns, which is one of the biggest cave systems, at least in Northern America. It might be in the whole world, I'm not sure. And it was pretty neat. This is a cool concept. I dig this. I wonder where you get the inspiration for this kind of thing, right? Devs just like spelunking themselves, maybe? Does have VR support? That's cool. Seems like a good game for it. I guess you'd have to have like a teleporting system to move forward, maybe? It looks like they're permanently scanned. The color turns blue when you're far away from them, but you don't lose access to it, it looks like. Yeah, there's not a crouch button. Got it. I like how they just give you the scanner and throw you into the game. There's no, like, dialogue. It's like, you get it. To see what's somber about it so far, it's just pretty cool. Yeah, I should check the ceiling a bit. It's cool. Ray tracing the game. That's always a fun thing about this concept of creative scaffolding, right? It's like a way to limit your creativity a bit or push you in a certain direction. You're coming up with ideas for a movie or a game. So, like, picking a game development feature, like draw distance or something. Like, let me make a game that's all about draw distance. Or let me make a game that's all about physics, which is kind of what Half-Life 2 is. Nobody's been as deep into this for thousands of years. It's utterly alone. No call for help would ever reach the surface. After we got back from Carlsbad Caverns, Andrea made me watch The Descent, which is a pretty good movie. Friends all told me I was crazy. My wife couldn't understand my obsession. Had to know if the myths were true. I enjoyed it. I think it would have been fine if it was just cave horror and not cave horror plus without any spoilers for the movie, but hey, it's a hard sell. Somebody posted on Reddit they were making an indie game where it's a horror game and you were like on a boat and the boat is sinking. And I'm watching it, I'm like, man, this looks like it's a cool concept, and then these zombies show up. I'm like, god damn it. Like, being on a sinking boat is scary enough, and I feel like you can make a solid experience out of it. Don't also need zombies. But I see what you're trying to do. It's like Deadly Premonition, right? Doesn't need zombies, but somebody somewhere thinks it does. It's a bug in the game made as a game mechanic. Oh, that's really cool, Lexi. I've heard some stories about that sort of thing. I like how this game system of scanning the cave also kind of functionally works as breadcrumbs to let you know where you have and haven't been. Actually, I think that makes this a more interesting exploration system than if you just had a flashlight, right? Because by doing it this way, you know where you have and haven't been. You're not really getting lost. Hey, Six Gun, what's up? Ooh, these guys. Ah! Areas where the player failed to look up, presumably? Gotcha. Back to work. You enjoyed your time off. Andrea is still home. Their lab shuts down for the last 2 weeks of the year. She has to take vacation or not get paid. She's upstairs watching the Netflix show You's second season. Ooh, what's this? Aperture control. Ooh, that's cool. Big fan. So I can more quickly uncover a specific place. Could this place have been even older than the legends suggested? I didn't even think about that in the design space of the scanner. Dig it. Before such a powerful scanner and available. This is pretty cool. Turn it down a teensy bit more. Ooh. That's good. Love the lack of commentary on it, right? And it has a shadow. Oh no, it doesn't really have a shadow, it's just because I didn't cast the scanner behind it. That makes sense. That's cool. Yeah, we watched the first episode of The Witcher. That was pretty good. Wasn't super blown away, but it wasn't bad either. How's it? Henry Cavill? He seems to be having a really fun time with the character. Oh, interesting. Hey, thanks, Raker. I appreciate that. To use my spinning mouse wheel, right? Not actually frictionless.
You're super awesome. Thanks. Appreciate that.
Right mouse button to zoom. Why do I care? I see, to better fill in specific things, I guess. Book series and the game, right? Oh, cool. Glad you're able to make it, Raker. Thanks. I know it was really short notice. Trying to dump some people's anniversary banks here. The show is just an adaptation of the early books, isn't it? Interesting. Right, which is why it's like super episodic. I know, right? I was just experiencing this. The whole time in that cave, so Carlsbad is lit pretty professionally by the National Park Service. But imagining like exploring it for the first time in the dark is pretty terrifying. Okay, so there's no walking on the sides of these bridges. Careful I don't fall to my death here. I don't have like a sprint button, so that's not an option. It's a mostly dead bridge up here. I don't know if that's a makeable jump. Oh, can we not do that? I'm not a fan. No thanks, I'm good. This is fine. There's a really cool part of Carlsbad. Like, the whole thing is really cool. It's got, like, everything you can imagine from caves. Crazy stalactites, crazy stalagmites, columns, soda straws. There's an area called the Bottomless Pit, which looks exactly like that. They never did iron out the glitches. Okay. Glitches in the scanner that produce jump scares. See, sensor echoes from days earlier. Calibrations turn to ghosts. Clever, okay. In-game reason for the spooky ghosts. Is there any kind of technology that's like this that can do live mapping? I think they established early on that this is like sci-fi tech for this game. I guess you'd have to be wearing like a VR headset to be able to see what it's mapping in real time, right? It is kind of similar to a Kinect, yeah, that's why I'm wondering, like, if it is like pure sci-fi, it's very reasonable sci-fi, like, I could buy that someone would make something like this. Even if the feedback isn't this incredible. That's a cool idea, though. Maybe we'll see life imitating art. It happens a lot with, like, Star Trek, right? Or a lot of our touchscreen interface was people being inspired by Minority Report. Its gestures. LiDAR readouts from DARPA Challenge autonomous cars. Oh, cool. I feel like you could make a device that did this and collected this data for you to, like, process and analyze later at a computer, but maybe getting it to give you a real-time readout with the headset on that's relative to where you're actually looking would be the really difficult part to get right. Slow speed of light. I really like the level design in this game too. It kind of has a natural flow to it. They want me to do this? Because this feels really mean if this is what they want me to do. They're definitely making sound effects that suggest that this should be spooky. Okay, that was fine. This is fine. Still can't crouch. There's another ghost. Oh, the best kind of ghost, one that's falling to its death. You can get live LiDAR readouts and screens for car systems. That's cool. I like the way this game sets up jumps, too. If you run around at the widest aperture, it's pretty easy to just kind of walk around without having to stop to scan. I like that that's something they made you unlock, too. I don't think it would work as well if it was something that you started with. That's the way I came. There should be an item around here. I think I have to walk along a scary, tight path again, though. I assume there are secrets in the game. I'll leave it up to you guys if you want to discuss it in hide or something. Well, that seemed like I could jump onto that rock and get to something, potentially. First scan. Oh, that's cool. Maybe that has to, charge. Burst is available, I see. What's the design space of the scanner gun? It's a good way to force you to scan above you. So I imagine that's going to be one of the hardest parts of this game, is getting players to look up. That's probably why they had that room with the devices that just highlight the bridge for you. Whoa. It's a cool area to encourage you to use the burst scan. I like how your eyes really quickly adjust to the color system for gauging distance, where red is right in front of you, and then the closer it gets to blue, the further away it is. That's not how we perceive distance in the real world, but it works here. I feel like if you didn't have that depth component encoded into the individual pixels that you're scanning, this game would be really confusing to try to navigate. Makes me wonder if that was part of the original game or they added that after testing. Looks safe-ish. I feel like you could make a colorblind mode for this. Right. You could do red-green mode. Is it yellow-magenta? I'm trying to remember the other ones. Big fan of burst scan. Looks like a one-way jump. It's not the same phenomenon, but like, I remember reading about this technology they developed for blind people where you would have like a camera on your chest, and the camera would send very, very slight electrical signals onto a device they put on your tongue. It would be pretty low resolution, but it would like buzz different parts of your tongue based on where it detected things. And the human brain is pretty quick at like converting those signals to a basic form of perception where people could, after just having this device on for an hour or two, not see, but they could like, not bump into tables or distinguish one person's face from another when they were standing really close to it. The brain is highly plastic, I think is the term. Adapt really quickly to new forms of sensory input. This is a super cool game, and I'm just really impressed at how this developer's games are not alike at all, in any way. I was thinking that already with Uplink and Prison Architect, but this is a whole nother level entirely. Really want to jump over here. And it seems like with this one too, if their idea is like ray tracing the game, like it seems like they've, at about 2 hours long, they've explored the design space in that. I'm like, okay, that's all we can do with it. We don't need to stretch it out longer than it needs to be, Kind of like Uplink, it feels like you do everything that you should need to do in Uplink, and then the game's over. Experienced all the non-degenerate content tied to the core premise. Still supporting Prison Architects, that's cool. Oh, cool. I like seeing like clearly artificial components of the cave system as we explore around here. Temple must have been over 1,000 years old. They sold the IP, I see. Search for the cultists all my life. Spooky. Finally see it in person and be the first. Hey, did this game get any dev blogs or anything, or did they just drop it one day? Okay, this is the way I keep it. Makes sense. Oh, that's cool. Space colony builder. This definitely feels like a game where the tech idea came first, right? Like a hand? That's creepy. Like, what kind of environment could we use that to explore? I know, a cave. This is where they perform the sacrifices. No, wonderful. The more I scanned around the altar, the more it revealed. Potentially a new object near there. That doesn't seem good. Map view. Oh, that's pretty awesome. Prison markers. Oh, and it marks all the places I did a burst scan. Nice. Never heard of Desktop Dungeons. No, what kind of game is it? Oh, it's a one-way drop. Got it. Yeah, the main feeling I got from Carlsbad was like, it's kind of a sad thing that a lot of the Earth has been explored. Like things like Carlsbad. You're not going to find a giant cave system like that for the first time ever anymore. The place to do it is in video games. But I feel like the human brain isn't as excited about it a lot of the time. Because you pick up on patterns in the procedural generation system, right? The only way you can make a satisfyingly large space to explore is through procedural generation. But when the content isn't authored at all, you're like, oh, okay, this is another mushroom biome, I get how it works. I think they want me to jump here. But before I do that, let me explore further in other directions. Big fan of the map view. Oh, this might let me get back. Hey, Calic, how you doing? I really like that We Were Here game that Propagate will put on Subblock, which is basically keep talking and nobody explodes, but with, like, dungeon exploration instead of a bomb. Cultists believe the cave itself was malevolent. The dead could never escape. It's the prison that I'm in now. Victims were doomed to relive their final tortured hours forever. No wonder people went mad. The ranger at Carlsbad told this story about the first guy to explore it. It was a huge dumbass. Like, he explored the cave without telling anyone he was going in there, didn't go with anyone else, and brought nothing except a candle lantern. Got like a mile into the cave, and his lantern went out. And they simulated that by turning all the lights off in the cave. Just completely pitch black. And you're like, nope. I'm good. Put for Scanner Sombre. It's cool. Bomb Diffuser could be fun. I think part of the fun of, or most of the fun of Keep Talking is the fact that it's 2-player. 2+ player. Project management game, right? There's a lot of one-way backtracking spots, let's see. More like a puzzle, I see. Rather than project management focused. I should be able to fit through here, right? Maybe not. Okay, guess not. Oh, stools. Spooky. Hey Cal, you as well. Oh, interesting. Back in the altar room. Godspeed. Find a $5 lottery ticket is a wonderful present for someone you don't know very well but need to buy a gift for as a obligation. Spooky. Cultists slept and ate here. The monks who came after, they spent their time in silent prayer to an unanswering God. Worried that I wasn't supposed to fit through that. I guess we'll see what happens. That was the worst part of the descent. There's a scene where they crawl through this like really tight space. Nope. Absolutely not. Makes me glad there's not a crouch button in this game. Watch the next power-up I pick up. You can now crouch. Fuck. Probably want to keep going back up this way. Let's see. Yeah, I don't really get, like, empathetic claustrophobia. If I see somebody else doing it, it doesn't freak me out. But I very much do not want to be in that position. Uh-oh. I was worried that this was possible. Hey, we made it out. Okay. Phew. I can't fit through there. Or here. Might still be that I'm not supposed to be down here, so we'll find out. Gonna do another burst scan. There is actually an invisible wall. I don't know what happens when I fall yet. I assume this game is kind. Doesn't seem like that kind of game. Yeah, because there's an invisible wall right here. I can't move up this thing, so I don't think I was supposed to jump through that tree. Let's see if I can sneak my way back into it. Alright, let me try committing suicide. Whee! Alright, let's, Half-Life style. Oh, that one had a... I was blocked even though the scanner did not reveal anything past it. Yeah, this game is really cool so far. Don't jump through the tree. This looks productive, yeah, checkpoint. Okay. It's called Scanner Sombre, and it's like $2 on Steam right now because of the winter sale. I think it's like $5 when it's not on sale. I'm sure this took a lot of work. It's nice of them to charge so little for it, given that it's such a short experience. Oh, cool. Stalactites. Because they hang tight to the ceiling. It's pretty awesome. And I guess Carlsbad Caverns was originally like a reef back hundreds of millions of years ago when the New Mexico area was under the ocean. It was like a reef that started to build up until it made a complete circle, and after it made a complete circle, it blocked off any more of the ocean from getting into it. It was just full of this like brackish water. And then there were these like mountain forming events that forced it underground. So there's all this cool like limestone. Ooh. Oh, I'm actually in water. Interesting. I think the stalagmite, they might reach the ceiling, is the mnemonic. Okay, this thing doesn't like getting wet, which makes sense. That's cool. Does it even scan water? It scans the bottom of it. That's nice. It's pretty awesome. Okay, it kind of scans the surface of the water. That's awesome. Big fan. Okay, let's see if there's like a water upgrade. The goal is to explore. Like, this is the map that I've made so far from exploring the cave system. Oop. There was a ton of water in the cave. It was like 57 Fahrenheit, which I want to say is like 17 or something Celsius. And 90% humidity. So all the water just like seeps down from the surface into it. No bats though. It was hibernation time. Let's see. So there's a lot of water down here. At the end of that little cave there. This room is huge. Try climbing up on that thing. See if I can scan more from up top of it. Somebody gets that kind of rock. I did make it across though. That drains my burst scan cooldown, okay. It's not procedurally generated. This is a authored map, so I think it's just meant to be one narrative experience compared to Minecraft. It's only a couple hours long. Spooky sounds. More water, it looks like. Oh, what the hell is this room? I need to know where I'm going to surface before I spend too much time in the water, I think. I don't think that's a surmountable spot there. Let me get back on the surface. Here we go. What's this thing in the center of the room? Got a spooky cage thing. I like how the water reflects what you've scanned. That's kind of awesome. Guessing that's just there to help you tell what is and isn't water. Looks like that's something special. Could be an exit from this room somewhere. Can't fit through that. Perhaps there's somewhere else in the water that I can fit through. Reverse scan from over here. Definitely make out the little cage there. See, it looks like some pillars up there in the corner. I don't think that's an exit, but I'll go check it out. It's all water through there. So far, it's just exploration, and there's this implication that there's like a cult that was here. Found like a sacrifice altar and occasionally little like echoes of people that were here. Oh, here we go. The witch trials came much later. Drag witches down here and purge them in huge numbers. Evil throughout the ages. Sometimes a scanner produces like echoes of previous people that were around. We're gonna imprison the evil down here as eternal punishment. Oh, that's great. Hey, Burgess, how you doing? It's one of those echoes. I'm not far enough in the game to say for sure just yet, but I'm not... I don't think there's meant to be anything supernatural going on down here. It's just a cave with a spooky glitch that happens sometimes. The only danger I'm in is falling off the world. Or maybe drowning? Not sure about the drowning part of it. Excuse you. Hey, friend. Oh, ouch. Okay. Well, that seemed to be real. Punishment for spending too much time in the water. At least they introduced that concept when we got here. It's either real or my character is just going crazy from being in a scary dark cave. I'll interpret it that way. I think my character went nuts. Don't spend tons of time in the water or you're gonna go nuts. So basically the floor is lava. Using all the tools they've just taught me. Hey, friend. So we gotta find a path where we don't spend much time in the water. Got it. It's not gonna be over here. Wait. About to be screwed. Yeah, I'm dead. Bye-bye. Invisible, slow-acting lava. Right. It's great that they can come at you from behind, too. I dig that. I like how they built up to this sequence. Oh, that's interesting. So it does remember a bit of what you had scanned before you died. Scan as much of it as we can before we try to leave, basically. Be careful jumping up on here. This gave me trouble last time. Figure out what actually counts as floor. That looks like that's a viable place to get to. Off we go. It's fine. It's fine. Everything is fine. Mostly looks like wall, but well, maybe I can get on there. It's fine. Yes, yes. Hey, progress. I wonder if it was true, of course. No way these are just glitches. No, you're just crazy. That much death occurring in such a confined space. What horrors must they have seen in their final moments? To show this game to Andrea, probably get her to play it. Since she's got caves on the mind after Carlsbad and the Descent. Oh, cool. I like how water wasn't a thing early on. Like, the level design in this game is great. It's not a thing early on, and then it's a thing, and all it really teaches you is, hey, you can't use your scanner while in the water. Okay, got it. Then you have areas where you have to traverse water to get back to dry land. Okay, understood. There might be times where I'm expected to like do a leap of faith. And then there's danger. Like a lesser game, I think, would introduce the danger of water much more quickly for giving you a chance to rock everything else up to that point. It's great. There's some pictures in the travel channel in Discord. Pictures don't do it justice, of course. Forget the ceiling. Is that going to help me? See the reflection in the water? Yes. Yeah, florid is a good word to describe it. Yeah, the names are really cool. It was actually the theme. The ranger who gave us a tour. The theme for his tour was the idea that, like, although the names are cool, they're all super arbitrary and decided by the first people to discover the place. So I guess they went through Carlsbad and they had signs next to most of the formations in the cave from whatever early explorers named it, and they removed most of the signs because they wanted people to kind of come up with their own names. I'm dead. It's fine. We're fine. Chill out. But that was a cool way to connect with your tour group. What does that thing look like? So Andrew and I were joking that conservationists are way better at naming shit than physicists are. Like, in physics you have a black hole because it's black and it looks like a hole. Or dark matter because it's matter that's dark, doesn't interact with light. Or all the shit in Carlsbad Caverns name stuff like the Temple of the Sun or the Hall of Giants. The King's Palace. You know, yeah, okay, I can see why you called it that. That's cool. Find yourself touring American national parks in the American Southwest. Carlsbad is definitely worth a half-day stop if you're on your way to the Grand Canyon. Spooky action at a distance. It's Einstein's way to say that that was really dumb. It's a cool little area we're in right now. Something about the texture of the map in this game is really creepy. I mean, I think it's literally just a collection of the pixels you've scanned. Enjoy the tone of this game very much so far. The roof here, it helps me to see water better. So I was saying earlier that the whole, like, color to indicate distance thing is pretty important for this game to feel navigable at all. I think the other thing is making the ceiling reflected in the water. Even though it doesn't exactly make sense, I think it's really important for it to be possible to move through these rooms that have water in them. I guess you could look for weird voids in the scanner, or you could make it so that the scanner light doesn't touch the water at all, but that would feel weird. There's a lot that goes into making games feel good to play. And not just be a gimmick that you didn't really think about, like, is this actually enjoyable? So far, this is very enjoyable. Dev has put in their work for it. I know, spooky, scary witch people. My character is just cray-cray. So they did the blackout thing in Carlsbad Caverns where they, like, turn all the lights off and make you experience what it's like. And, like, phantom limbs are an actual thing. Like, if you hold your hand up in front of your face, your brain tries to construct a weird, like, hallucinogenic outline of your hand if you stare at it for long enough, even though there's nothing there. Yes, yes, I know. Sensor upgrade. Oh, scanner resolution's been increased. That's cool. Nice. Presumably not necessary for progress, but... very noticeable on the tight beam. Yeah, I'm super into this game so far. I think I like this better than Uplink or Prison Architect, and I do like both of those games. Uplink kind of has an aging problem, where it's tough to just play blind. Prison Architect, I think if the genre is your bag, it's probably more fun to play at length. But as far as like the social commentary they're going for, I think you can kind of get that after a few hours. Yeah, yeah. Scream, scream. Spooky, spooky. Checkpoint. Sandbox. Yeah, actually, so this game feels quite a bit more linear. Like, obviously you get to explore around, but it, you know, there's a kind of intended entrance and exit to each room. I think I really like bounded exploration like that. The fact that this is an authored landscape makes it more interesting to me to explore. Ooh, boat. Okay, I can in fact move the boat. That's cool. Although I bet you could make a procedurally generated version of this game, just the same mechanics, different cave systems, and players could have some fun with it. I need to find something authored to hold my interest, you know. Heist game in a giant procedural city. Yeah, it's a bummer. It seems like there are some game concepts that just don't work. And we just talked about this during Red Dead or something like that, but that's what happened with Blizzard and their Titan MMO, that they ended up scrapping and turning into Overwatch, right? They originally had this plan for, this is pretty. Oh, I think that this, like, literal bioluminescence contrasted by my scanner. That's cool. They wanted to do this superhero game where part of the time you were your secret identity and part of the time you were a superhero. It's a cool idea. Turns out it doesn't really work as a game mechanic. So they just scrapped it and used the assets to make Overwatch. I have to wonder what other games out there exist, like game ideas that just are cool but don't work, or people haven't found out how to make them work yet. This is a really cool sequence, I like the music here too. This is a game that Borderline could possibly have not worked if they didn't add some of these little features like making the water reflect what's on the ceiling and having the depth indication on the pixels you've scanned. Yep. I think it's just because the protagonist is crazy. I don't think there's anything supernatural going on down here. But he's not scared of getting in the water if he's in a boat. The water is scaring him because he has a scanner and he can't use it because it doesn't work in the water. I like the pace of this section too. Is it water? Yeah. Andrea was watching The Descent with me and she's like, "You've heard of mud wrestling, but what about blood wrestling?" Yeah, that's accurate. Substantially less hygienic. This is a really cool track. Interesting. This feels like a long hallway. I don't think it's the long hallway. Kind of cool. You can see the pretty bioluminescent stuff on the ceiling. Got the not at all threatening acoustic guitar music. Hey, Raker, I'll see if I can get Andrea to play this. I'll let you know what she thinks about it. Maybe later this evening. She's home from work this week, so give her something to do. It's short and it's easy, which is like her two favorite words in gaming. Easy's not the right word. It's not punishing. It doesn't mention, the game just loads in and you pick up the thing, start exploring. The lamp would be less interesting because you're not like permanently mapping the facility. Oh, cool. I love that you cast a shadow, but only temporarily, right? It's awesome. Material scanner. Oh. Oh, that's cool. So many have died down here. So now I can see the difference between rock and, like, man-made construction. Imagine the New Game Plus mode is fun, where you just go back to the start with all the powers. Miners that came for work were just as superstitious. They're terrified of this place. Dude, fuck mining. I can tell you that much. After going to Carlsbad. Those that lost their lives due to negligence Negligence. Are they trapped down here too? I mean, in the sense that their corpses are trapped here, yes. Oh, wonderful. They look like barrel of monkeys. That's cool. I don't think you'd be able to really make out what you're looking at as well without the material mode. Yeah. The game doesn't explain any of this, and I don't think it needs to. The reason you don't have a practical light source is that this is the way they want you to explore. That would be kind of funny if that's the final upgrade, right? Just like you just get like a flashlight or a torch or something, you can actually see the place. There's a lot of cool ways to end this game, but that could be a neat thing. It's like your scanner breaks down and you use a torch and your map to get out. I guess you can tell wood from the sound you make when you walk on it. There's this big ass rock in Carlsbad called the Iceberg Rock. It's a little bit bigger than this guy right here. And you can see where, like, at some point a couple 100,000 years ago, it fell from the ceiling, and it just was such a huge, heavy, like multiple tens of thousands of tons rock that the energy from it falling caused it to just fuse into the floor. But you can look up at the ceiling and you can see like where it fell from, where it used to fit in. It's pretty awesome. Death! We're fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Ooh. Blue, huh? What's on the handrail here? Spooky. So I think at this point I can judge distance a little bit better just because the resolution on the gun is so high and I'm already so used to exploring with it. I don't need the depth indicator as much now. These are the players don't look up scanners, I think. It's a mine. So I think what they're telling us is that I want to get up there somehow. Let's see. Does it matter that all of this is in my memory? Does it make it any less real? Okay, they are exploring the "is this real" question. I was there. I was the first. Oh, that's cool. It still registers color on the map here. Oh, and I've got no clip, so I can see like what was made out of different things earlier in places I've already scanned. Jump. Wonderful. That's like right on the edge of what I would think of as a makeable jump, right? Whew. Hooray, everything's fine, nothing is ruined. Checkpoint. Some kind of sign that I can't actually read. Makes sense. Though it would be fun if I'm right and the game ends with a flashlight coming back and then reading the signs that you revealed earlier. Let's not go that way. Cool little ramp. Signs. Yeah, I think like the resolution on the wideband scan is big enough that as long as you're just doing it at this, you're constantly holding down left mouse, you don't really need the distance indicator as much anymore. And the material indicator can help you spot like, oh, okay, those are stairs. Or that's a bridge. Elevator. We're coming down like it was yesterday. Yeah, right. Magnesium flare. That's something I thought was really cool about the descent. I'd find something below, hoping it wouldn't be another empty cave. Wish I'd been better prepared. Okay. Got it. The descent's color grading was super cool. I feel like some movies and TV shows go a little bit too far with that. Like I really like The Mandalorian, and there's a lot of color grading in it, but I think it's a little bit too dark. And there's a couple shows, I'm trying to remember. I watched a show recently and I was like, it kept, I don't know if it was alternating between different timelines or something, but I was like, man, having a subtly different color grading would help the audience a lot to know when we are or where we are. Like, I think that Breaking Bad did that with, like, whenever you were in Mexico, there was like this yellowish orange color grade to everything. Game of Thrones did it for a while, where like the North was color graded blue and King's Landing was more of an orange. It was really good. Was it Oh Brother, Where Art Thou was one of the first movies to do it. It was really cool when they first did it, and then it kind of got overused sometimes. This way. This is all just cave. I think I prefer this one. It's just cave. Ugh, I hate that show so much. Ryan Murphy! No, it's for somebody, it's just not for me. Andrea really likes it, so I've seen a lot of episodes of it. That's how I get to this first switch, I guess. Yeah. The visuals in American Horror Story are fine, actually. I don't think I have any problem with that. I also don't have a problem with, like, the idea of campy horror. But I feel like that show desperately wants to have its cake and eat it too. Like, it wants to both be extremely campy and, like, super serious. And it alternates, like, whiplashes constantly. I love the pipe here is leading you where you're supposed to go. It's a classic level design trick. I want to say Half-Life 2 did the wires leading from things. You'd follow the wires to figure out where the switch was going to be. I'm sure some earlier first-person shooters did that also. Yeah, I mean, like, spoilers for American Horror Story, but the first season, like, the first 9 episodes are all fairly serious, if a little bit cheesy, like, ghost house horror, and then the final episode is Beetlejuice. Just, like, all of a sudden, now it's Beetlejuice, and it's like, okay. I could do that, but you gotta ease me into that transition a bit, Ryan Murphy. There's gotta be another way to get through there. Yeah, it's an anthology, sort of. Like, every season is different. They usually use the same actors, but it's a different set of people. It is very high camp. Like, I cannot overstate how campy it is. I think I want to go through that busted gate. Let's try that. Okay, I thought that was a death fall. This looks right. American Horror Story is like a horror-themed drag show. And if you go into it knowing that that's the case, I think you can enjoy it more. But I think that my opinion of it is, like, permanently tainted by the first 9 episodes of the first season appearing to be a little bit more serious, and then it becoming drag in the last, like, episode. Let's see. Yeah. Part of it, Ryan Murphy's, like, he's a cool idea guy. He's good at coming up with a premise. He's not so great at coming up with, like, a resolution. And there's a lot of creators that have that problem. I can't stand most of Quentin Tarantino's endings for his stories. But I love the premises. Like, Hateful Eight, the first third of Hateful Eight is one of my favorite movies ever. As long as I pretend that there's no second 2/3 of the movie. feel like Ryan Murphy should just do the Teen Girl Squad thing and just pop in and say, "It's over!" Like, once he runs out of ideas. Can I distance scan that thing? I guess I've never tried it. I think I have to be right in front of it, though. No, it doesn't look like it. Okay. Oh, that looks like water. I don't want to fuck around with that. Well, I guess I could get in the water and see if scary monster... Oh, it's just a fall. Interesting. Glad I checked. Yeah, J.J. Abrams. So J.J. Abrams is like, he does it on purpose. It's not just that he, it's not just that he's bad at writing endings. Like, he did like a TED Talk at one point on this concept of the mystery box in narrative, where he's like, no one cares about answers, the only thing they care about is questions. Whereas I kind of get the sense that, like, both Quentin Tarantino and Ryan Murphy, like, want to write satisfying conclusions, they just don't. On their own, at least. Bullshit, I care about answers. Yeah, it's a pretty frustrating video. I can kind of sort of see his point. Like, sometimes I've written D&D campaigns that way. Like, I've gone in not knowing what the answers are and then let the players speculate and then make the answers based on their speculation. But it works better in that because it's improvisational storytelling. It doesn't feel quite as cheesy. Though, I'm trying to remember his name. Played Quicksilver in the new X-Men movies. His name's on the tip of my tongue. It's a cool, long elevator ride here. Yeah, I'd rather things be unresolved than resolved in a frustrating way. You know what I mean? There's something that it's like, okay, you can acknowledge that we left that dangling. I like this song playing during this long elevator sequence. I got kind of Christmassy there. The Trans-Siberian Orchestra. It's pretty great. How many times do I have to relive this? Always the same rock, the same metal, and the same stale air. I like Black Mirror, which was a little less cynical. Like, it kind of has this, like, Luddite philosophy that I'm not a big fan of. Occasionally it does some episodes on how technology is not always bad. Excuse me. I just want to see my family again. Whoa. I don't know how I died. Probably got lost in the cave. It's cool, you still see the outside world in the same way. I dig it. So it's not that the protagonist is cray-cray, it's that the protagonist is dead. Old memories I'm forced to relive is the one thing I don't remember. Breaks my heart knowing I left my family behind. Whoa. Always here for me. It's a cool twist. No, I'm never coming back. Crazy guy died in a mine. That's kind of a cool mirror to the scanner. Or do a fly-through. Based on what I actually scanned, that's pretty cool if so. Yeah, I dig it. Surprised at how much you actually scan, even if you're coming at this from like a I just need to get to the end of the level perspective. I guess the burst helps a lot with that, as does the increased resolution. It seems like there's only one room where you're really at risk of dying. I only died from falling that one time because I clipped through a tree I shouldn't have. And what they built up to that mechanic, and they're like, okay, you get it. We're not going to keep making water ghosts attack you. So I wonder how they went about storing this game, right? Is it just like a 3D XYZ map, and then we assign an on or an off to every pixel? That's probably what it is. Yeah, that's a cool ending. No, why'd you hesitate? It's good to put it on when you have some time to spare. I feel like there's some variance in how long this would take someone to beat. Probably not more than 2 hours, but it definitely feels like a one-session game. I wonder if the picture was there at the beginning. You are able to inspect the tent, and the tent is the only thing that's rendered before you get the scanner. I think it counts. It's nice and short. Like, this game is not any longer than it needs to be. It explores just about everything it wants to explore with the scanning mechanic. I guess, like I was saying, you could, at the end of the game, get like a torch or a flashlight or something. But I feel like the areas are less interesting once you already know what's in them. Haha. Puts me back here. Oh, that's kind of cool. We're all fading away. Nice. Sure, what's Easter egg? Is it easy to get from anywhere in the stage? Sure, after the credits here. Season pass and loot box cosmetics would improve the game for sure. Okay. I think this game, I think my enjoyment of it would have been improved a little bit without the on-screen text. I think it does a fine enough job of conveying itself without the text. It doesn't ruin the experience, but like I've been thinking about that a lot more and more lately, like watching TV. Like Andrew and I watched Brightburn recently in the hotel in Carlsbad, which is a better idea than it is a movie. Max Landis is kind of a hack in addition to being a creep. But anyway, the movie has a bunch of parts where like they very clearly convey what's going on the screen, and then they have two characters say it. I'm like, don't, just shut up. I get it. I actually wonder if the text was appended to the game. If originally it was just you explore this thing and then, oh, okay, there's these ghosts in the water, got it. Then you see the family at the end and you zoom back to the tent and there's the family in the tent. You're like, oh shit, maybe I've been dead this whole time. They're not writers, they're game designers. Yeah. Brightburn, basically I feel like the problem with Brightburn is that they had a choice between making a slasher movie and an evil Superman movie, and they made a slasher movie. So like if you went in wanting evil Superman and like exploring what's going on with that and what would turn Superman evil, oh that's cool, the title screen changes based on what you've done. New Game Plus. Alright, so where am I going, Raker? Yeah, picture's there at the very beginning. If you bother to look at it. Scan around with the material scanner. Okay. Yeah, I guess I never did the obvious, like, Donkey Kong Country thing of, going backwards at the start. Oops, I'm stuck on the stalagmites. Ouch. I don't think I'm supposed to be back here. Shoot. Hey, well, no, don't celebrate yet. Hooray! Okay. Oh, nice. That's something I technically could have seen when I first got here, right? It was there in New Game. Just a lot easier to see. I guess like a lot of people are going to get the thing and then go forward, and if they see it, it's pretty well merged in the ground. Like you have to be paying pretty close attention. That's cool. Yeah. This is probably where he died. Cool. Thank you. Thanks for sharing this game, Riker. It's really neat. I'll have Andrea play and let you know what she thinks. Alright, I'm going to take a short break before we switch to the next subblock game. I'll be back in a bit.